We're going to take a look at circles today, and we've got the standard form for the equation of a circle right here, where HK is the center and R being our radius. So let's do that for this, where we've got a circle with a center of -2, 3, and it's got a radius of 4. Let's go ahead and draw that first. I'm going to go out 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right, 4 down, 4 to the left, and 4 up, and I can draw that circle, sort of. There we go. And let's write the standard form for the equation of that circle. So we've got our center HK, we've got our radius of 4 here. So x minus that input center of the circle there, y minus the k equals our radius squared. So we got x plus 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 16 on that. I'd go ahead and make this a U-try-it problem. If you want to go ahead and graph that and write that in standard form as well. Now hopefully you graph the center of the circle there, 5, 1, you count it up 3, right 3, down 3, left 3. And then we're going to go ahead and throw in our H and our K and our R. And there's our standard form for the equation of this circle. Right, now we're going to be given an equation in standard form. So we've got the x plus 1 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 25. So let me write the standard form above it. And let's go ahead and recognize our HK. So it's x minus h. Now notice it's x plus 1. So be very careful with that. So your h here is actually -1, right? Isn't x minus and -1 same thing as x plus 1? So the h follows that minus. So the h is -1. Y minus the k, so the k would be 3 here, equals r squared, right? If r squared is 25, then r is plus minus 5, but it's a length, so it's just the 5, positive 5 on that, right? So our center HK would be -1, 3, positive 3, and our radius R would be 5. So we got -1, 3, and then we can kind of draw our circle. Oh well, I missed my points, but whatever. This is not bad to pause it and make it a U-try-it problem. Let me go ahead and write the standard form of the equation. Let's see if we can identify HK and R. So our center HK would be the 3, x minus the 3, so h is 3, y squared, so that'd be y minus 0, right? So our k is 0. And if r squared equals 13, then our r would be the square root of 13. Well, the square root of 13 is like 3 point something, because I know square root of 9 is 3, square root of 16 is 4, right? So this is 3 point something. So let's put on there 1, 2, 3, 0, and let's go 1, 2, 3 point something, 1, 2, 3 point something, 1, 2, 3 point something, 1, 2, 3 point something. And then we kind of draw a not so great circle, but whatever. It's supposed to go through those points. Here we've got it in this like kind of a mess general form, not useful form, right? I want it in this very useful standard form. So I'm going to have to force this. And so let me go ahead and write x squared. And then let me put the other x next to it. I'm going to have to complete the square. Let me leave a space. Then let me do the y squared and the minus 8y. And then I'm actually going to take that 16 over to the other side. So equals -16. So see how I left a space after the 10x, the minus 8y? I'm going to try and complete the square on those two so that I can have them be perfect squares. So I'm looking at that x squared and 10x, and I say, well, okay, what do I got to add in here to have this become a perfect square? All right, so I'm going to take that 10. If you remember, I take that b term, I divide it by 2, and I square it. So 5 squared, 25. So 25 is the magic number. So I want to add in 25. Well, if I add 25 to the left-hand side of the equation, I got to add 25 to the right-hand side of the equation. And then what does this factor into, this x squared plus 10x plus 25? Well, that factors into x plus 5 plus 5, x plus 5 quantity squared. I'm like, oh, perfect. So my h is negative 5. That's why I wanted to complete the square. Now I'm going to do that for the y squared minus 8y. So I'm looking at that, and I'm like, okay, well, what's negative 8 divided by 2 squared? That's the number I want. So negative 4 squared, 16. So I got to add 16, both sides, add 16. Now I'm going to factor that. So I have a y, a y. That'll be a minus 4 and a minus 4. And then over here, negative 16 plus 25 plus 16 just gives us 25. Now I have it in standard form. So I've completed the square. I can recognize who h, k, and r is. All right, this is x minus negative 5. So h is negative 5. K is 4. And if r squared is 25, then my r must be 5. My radius must be 5. So center, hk, negative 5, 4. Since r squared equals 25, r must be 5. My circles are getting worse and worse, but whatever. It's supposed to go through the points. We found the center and the radius, and then we can draw that. Let's do that again for this one down here. It's a little bit different because I've got a 2x squared instead of just an x squared. Right, I have a 2x squared. So I'm going to write 2x squared. Then I'm going to write the 8x. I'm going to leave a space. Then I'm going to write the 2y squared. There's no other y term. I'm going to take the constant over to the other side. So I have negative 7 over there. Okay? So now what we're going to do is, you want this to be x minus h quantity squared, right? You don't want a coefficient of 2 in front. So I'm going to take a 2 out of both of those first two. I'm going to do the same thing with this y squared. Okay. And then I'm looking at this, I'm like, well, what's the number I need in there to make this perfect square? It would be 4 over 2 squared. So I need 2 squares of 4. So if I add 4, now be careful, I didn't really add 4 to this side. I actually added 8 because of the 2 on the front there. If I distribute that, 2 times 4 is 8. So I got to add 8 to the other side. Add 8 to the other side. Now this will factor. So I have 2. This will factor into x plus 2, x plus 2. And y squared already is a perfect square. That's y minus 0 squared. Over here I got 1. So here's what we got. 2x plus 2 squared plus 2y being squared equals 1. Now remember, we want it in this form. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So I don't want those 2 in front of my perfect squares. So let me divide this whole side by 2, which is each of those terms. And then I have it, x plus 2 squared plus y squared equals 1/2. So my h must be -2. Here's my center. H is -2. My k would be 0. Y minus 0 squared is the same as y squared. And my r, if r squared equals 1/2, then my radius would be square root of 1 over square root of 2. Now I need to rationalize that. So my radius is square root of 2 over 2 if I rationalize that, right? So -2, 0. Let's put that center on there. And then square root of 1/2, that's like point something, right? So it's just a pretty small circle there for our radius. It looks like on this one we've got the endpoints of the diameter of a circle. In fact, let's make this visual. We've got 2, 6, we've got -4. Oops. -2. So those are the endpoints of a circle. Determine the coordinates for the center of the circle, find the length of the radius, then write the standard form. So we need the HK, we need the center, right? So what would the center be? Well, we don't know where the midpoint is between those two that are on the diameter, but we can use the midpoint equation to find the center, right? So the center is the midpoint between 2, 6, and -4, -2, right? X1, Y1, X2, Y2. So the midpoint would be the average of the X's, the average of the Y's. So the center of this circle, our HK, would end up being 2 plus the -4 all over 2, and then 6 plus the -2 all over 2. So 2 minus 4, -2 over 2 is -1. 6 minus 2 is 4 over 2 is 2. So -1, 2, there's our center of that circle. I didn't draw that very well, but it's kind of close to that, -1, 2 being our HK. All right, so we've got our HK. Now we need to know, well, how far is it from that -1, 2 out to the radius? All right, so what's the radius? Well, that would be the distance from the center, -1, 2, out to an endpoint. Let's go out to, how about to the 2, 6? You could go to either endpoint, but we'll go to that 2, 6 there. So x1, y1, x2, y2. Write our distance formula. So x2 is 2 minus the -1 quantity squared, plus we got 6 minus the 2 quantity squared. So we got 2 plus 1. I got 3 being squared. I got 4 being squared. So we got 9 plus 16, which is 25. So our radius, which is the distance from there to there, is 5. So our center HK is -1, 2, and we've got a radius of 5. So there's our standard form of the equation of that circle with the description given. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.